or Syrah if you're in the US. I think our wines are in a similar boat.
Yeah, you're right. I've noticed an earthy note in some of the Aussie wines that I drink, and I never really thought about it, but I think you may be right. That's really
now that you mention it, I think, I could see that.
Interesting. That could make for some really interesting directions in mead making then. Something that couldn't be duplicated anywhere.
Yeah,
aside from the fact
I wouldn't
that
call...
your honeys are very unique, Yeah.
I wouldn't call our orange blossom a bright honey in flavour and that. It's not... I wouldn't say it zings off the tongue like, say, a lucerne or a clover. But it's still very nice. So.
Interesting. Yeah, I was really loving I don't know what honey it is that Sue-Ann at Thistle uses, but I was loving that. It ran a thread through many of her meads, so I don't know if that's her chief honey that she uses, but I noticed that there was a flavor profile in several of her meads that were really interesting.
They're almost definitely all the same mead, all the same honey, and the honey that I really hope that she can maintain this, because she says that it's a natural blend from a sort of variable source, really. And so I can't remember the exact wording she said, but she's like, it's no specific varietal. It's just, the stuff from this area. And I hope that can be maintained year in, year out, because the honey that she's working with at the moment is phenomenal and gives you this most awesome mouthfeel. So
it really did. I mean, there was, and it had an earthy note to it. There was spiciness in it. It was, it was like earthy and spicy, and yet there was this sweet character, but a caramel note. It was one of the most complex honeys I think I've ever tasted. And, just getting that from, and this was going from when I was drinking the traditionals before we got into the, the melomels and the methylanes and whatnot. But, just the traditionals alone, this honey was like, it was like nothing I've ever tasted in a honey, and I desperately want some. Desperately.
It was silky, wasn't it?
It really was silky. Yeah, it had the neatest mouthfeel to it. And just the whole thing was just really elegant and complicated, and made you think of women in slinky dresses doing the tango, kind of. It was a complicated and mysterious honey. It was really interesting. And
awesome.
Yeah, I liked it. I just found it to be really, really intriguing. And I've had several of the meads from down there, but that was so far the most intriguing honey to me that I've had from Australia.
Yeah, she says it's a mixed blossom honey from a supplier in Adelaide. Now, I'm sure that we're going to cover that neatly when we actually interview her in the coming weeks.
Yeah,
so,
we definitely are. We're going to have to pin her to the wall and pry it out of her where she gets her honey.
Yeah.
Please, tell us,
stop
please.
speculating, I think.
Please, yeah. Well, no, I just thought it was really. I mean, while we're on the subject of the uniqueness of Australian honeys, it's just interesting, even how different they are. And I suppose it's the same here. I mean, you've got a lot of varietals from a lot of different areas, but. Y'all seem to have some really complex honeys, at least the ones that I've tasted so far.
Yeah, we've got some really unique ones, which are fun to play with. And when you talk to Sean over in Erosion, pin him down on the Jarrah honey, which is one of the honeys we can't really get across here because it's just way too expensive.
What's Jarrah honey?
It only comes from that side of the continent. Jarrah is a type of hardwood tree.
Used for flooring and furniture. It's a very, very, very dark timber with a fine grain. That's quite dark red, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, and the honey, obviously,
nice
it's the honey.
Yeah.
Oh, there goes Hamish's mic again. I was noticing, Steve, on your website, you said in your upcoming page that you're doing something with Banksia. What's that?
Yeah, I've got a Banksia honey, like just a straight sack made.
Okay.
It's interesting. It's I couldn't even tell you what family of or tree it comes from. It's not a eucalypt, but it's just another native. But it's got some really strong tasting florals that come into the honey. It's aging at the moment, and I'm not sure where it's going to go. It's one of the few that I can't pin down. It's got such a strong back taste to it that it'll probably be one that will go for those who want to try it. Banksia, it won't be a big commercial, I don't believe, not in its current form.
It's actually the first traditional I ever had was a Banksia. Apart from the wax floating on the top, it was actually pretty good.
Wax floating on the top.
Okay. So a real traditional mead then.
Self-capping.
Yeah,
It's a self-capping mead.
Self-capping.
No, you can't leave it open to the
Banksia
air,
is Banksia is really a really quintessential Australian tree or bush. Goes to about 7 feet high, sort of thing. Has some very obvious flowers that then fade off into seed pods that look like a whole lot of eyes looking at you, and they've been the theme of many a bush storybook for the kids, with Banksia men and other things like that running around as the evil guys.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like it would be adventurous to harvest. Is that a fruit in the picture you sent up, Hamish? Or is that just...
No, that's the flower.
That's the flower. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I see.
There is no real fruit, I don't think.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no, there's not. There's just a seed pods from the flower. Yeah, it's really interesting to play with, though. Really, really nice and strong. Trying to think of an equivalent of a US honey.
Yeah, good luck.
Nah. So, well, we're talking honeys, though. I mean, agave honey is another real nice honey to play with. And also a bit of a controversial one. Seems that every second person seems to think you use agave nectar, not honey.
Yeah.
I don't know why that would be the case. So you don't think that the orange blossom is a nectar. So why would you say agave is?
Because, well, at least here they sell agave nectar in cans. It's popular in the Hispanic food sections of the grocery stores.
Okay.
Yeah, so...
I've seen it. Yeah,
and it's what you make tequila from,
and
isn't
it's what
it?
you make tequila from, yeah.
I'm guessing the honey involves bees and the nectar doesn't.
Yeah. But isn't tequila actually the plant fermented down?
Yeah, I think so. They make pulque, I think, is one variation on what ultimately can become tequila, if I remember right.
I'm pretty sure that, I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that agave nectar is not actually nectar from the flowers.
No, it's not.
It's extracted from the leaves. Can we call them leaves?
Yeah, well, it's a succulent, but they get the juice. So basically, it's like if you sweetened the juice. That's when they call it nectar. What they're talking about is it's in a can and it's had sugar added to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So have you guys played around with agave honey before?
Oh yeah. Agave meads are they're not. I wouldn't say they're popular, but especially you get into the Southwest. where a lot more agave plants are, and you will see more agave honey products there. So I've had several agave meads. It's not my favorite mead, but I've come to appreciate it in recent years. I used to hate it when I first got started because just the way it ferments out is different, but now I can appreciate the uniqueness of it, even if it's not my particular taste profile. I enjoy it for its uniqueness,
Yeah, that's all I like about it. It's different. I think it's a stronger honey than buckwheat, personally, and I like it for that regard.
Yeah, I don't know. At least here, I wouldn't. I can't. I shouldn't say this. I've had agave meads. I haven't had agave honey, just straight, because we can't get it here. Or I can't get it in my part of the country anyway. But the meads I've had were interesting flavors, and I don't know if I would say they were stronger than buckwheat or not. I think a lot of that depends on how you ferment it.
Yeah. For sure.
Oh, we have a public service announcement for you, Steve, which we got to talking and then got two of them, the ones you sent me, dude. Okay, so are you looking for? I'd let Hamish do this normally, but his mic's cutting in and out, so I don't know if he wants to attempt it. Are you looking for something lighter than a port, but with more complexity than a muscat? You should try Odin's Reserve by Stone Dog Meadery. Smooth and rich, full of caramel and butterscotch and a hint of bitter orange, like nothing you've ever tried before. Go to stonedog.com.au to see more and buy some.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So you got an American accent. We will sometimes have Hamish read him in his Aussie, and sometimes we'll have him put on his American newscaster accent, which is hilarious. What are you doing
cool.
on the commercial level? What are you doing for filtering? How are you filtering your mead?
We're just now playing around with a 12-inch square plate filter.
Oh, okay.
So we managed to pick one up from a winery that was going out of business. Good for us, bad for them. So
still
we're
handy to be able to get good equipment used.
Yes, yeah. We'll be filtering down to about 0.25 micron, so aiming for a sterile filtration for them. Previously, we were filtering down to about 0.5 micron, because that's all the capacity we had, and usually only just to make sure you get out any obvious floaties. We do use a lot of raw honey, so there's still wax and
bee butts out of it and stuff like that.
Yeah. It sort of don't look good if you got bees' legs floating through them.
Yeah. I mean, it adds protein, but it is kind of hard to convince the savvy commercial market to go for it when there's legs floating about in it.
Yeah. I mean, we still have, even filtering down to that, if they age for about 5 to 6 months, we still have a little bit of sediment coming out, and just drop out of solution. It's an interesting product, mead, in that you can look at it and be crystal clear. 6 months down the road, you've got a nice little layer of sediment.
I think that's true.
We'll go a little bit finer.
That's true for a lot of meads, though. I mean, some of the best meads in this country, if they sit for 5 or 6 months, there's going to be a little bit of sediment. And Ken Schramm has said on many occasions that what's the problem exactly? You don't need to filter every bit of particulate matter out of your meads. You're not going to leave much behind. Yeah. That's why we wouldn't go lower than about the 0.25. Yeah.
Enough to take the yeast particles out.
Get the haze out of it long enough for people to buy it and drink it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of filter do you use?
Brand name I can't recall. It's a diatomaceous earth pads. They go in,